Lucas was 13 minutes late leaving school, held back by a teacher over a math assignment, and by the time he walked out the front gate, the usual car wasn't there. Only Victor, leaning against the black sedan, arms crossed, sunglasses pushed up into his hair instead of over his eyes, something Lucas had never seen before. "Where's the driver?" "I am the driver today." "You're never the driver." "Things change." Victor opened the back door, then paused, looking at Lucas for a second longer than necessary. "You can sit up front if you want." Lucas blinked. In 12 years of being driven everywhere by someone, front seat privileges had never once been offered. He climbed in without a word, buckling his seatbelt slowly, waiting for the catch. There wasn't one, not at first. Victor pulled out of the school lot in silence, and it took nearly 5 minutes before Lucas worked up the nerve to ask. "Did my dad tell you to do something?" "Your dad asked me to keep you company more." "That's different from telling me to do something." "Company? Like a babysitter?" Victor almost smiled. "Do I look like a babysitter to you?" Lucas glanced at him, the scar along his jaw, the way his eyes tracked every car in the mirror without seeming to try, the stillness in his hands even at a red light. "No." "Then stop calling it that." They didn't go straight home. Victor took a detour past a batting cage on the edge of town, pulled into the lot, and turned off the engine before Lucas could ask why. "You used to play." "Before everything got complicated." "How do you know that?" "I know everything about this family. It's my job." Victor got out of the car. "You still remember how to hold a bat, or did I waste 20 minutes of gas?" Lucas hadn't touched a bat in over a year, not since his father had quietly pulled him from the community league after a scare involving a car that circled the field twice too many times during a game. He'd never been told the real reason. He'd just stopped being signed up. He picked up the bat like it was something borrowed from a stranger. First swing, he missed completely. Victor didn't laugh. "Elbow up. You're dropping it before contact." "Since when?" "Do you know baseball?" "Since before I knew your father." Something flickered across Victor's face, gone before Lucas could read it. Had a life before this one. Not much of it, but some. Lucas swung again, made contact this time, sent the ball into the net with a satisfying crack. Something in his chest loosened slightly, a tightness he hadn't realized he'd been carrying since the night in his father's study weeks ago. "Can I ask you something?" "You're going to whether I say yes or no." "Have you ever had to hurt someone?" "For my dad." Victor didn't flinch, didn't look away, didn't offer the practiced deflection Lucas half expected. "Yes." "Does it bother you?" "Every time." He leaned against the fence, watching the next ball come out of the machine. "Anyone who tells you it doesn't is either lying to you or something's broken in them. I try not to let it break me. Some days I do better than others." Lucas swung and missed, distracted. "Why are you telling me this?" "Nobody tells me anything real." "Because you already know more than you should for someone your age, and pretending otherwise insults you." Victor crossed his arms. "Your father protects you by keeping you out of rooms. I figure the least I can do is not lie to you once you're already standing in one." They stayed another 20 minutes, until Lucas's swing started connecting more often than not, until some of the stiffness left his shoulders. On the drive home, the silence between them felt different than it had that morning, less like a driver and passenger, more like two people who'd agreed on something without saying it out loud. "You're not really my friend," Lucas said eventually, testing the words. "You work for my dad." "Both things can be true." "Can they?" "I've watched you grow up since you were 4 years old, Lucas. I taught you to ride a bike in the driveway when your father was in Chicago for a week and your mother had the flu. I've stood outside your bedroom door more nights than I can count, not because your father ordered it, but because I wanted to." Victor kept his eyes on the road. "That's not a job." "That stopped being a job a long time ago." Lucas didn't answer right away. Staring out the window at the houses passing by, ordinary houses with ordinary families who probably never needed a man like Victor standing outside their doors. Does my dad know you feel that way? Your dad knows everything that happens in that house. That's part of what makes him good at what he does. A pause. But no, we've never said it out loud to each other. Men like us don't always say things out loud. That's stupid. Probably. When they pulled into the driveway, Emma was already at the window, waving wildly at the sight of the front seat occupied by her brother instead of empty. Sophia stood behind her, arms crossed, watching the car with the particular alertness that had become permanent since the incident with the camera. Victor cut the engine but didn't move to get out right away. Same time tomorrow, he asked. Batting cage, not the front seat. Your swing still needs work. Lucas looked at him for a long moment, the man who had taught him to ride a bike, who stood outside his door at night, who had just told him more truth in 20 minutes than most adults in his life managed in a year. Yeah, Lucas said. Same time tomorrow. He got out of the car, and for the first time since the night he'd learned the truth about his father, something in his chest felt lighter instead of heavier, not because the danger around his family had disappeared, but because for the first time, he understood he wasn't carrying the weight of it entirely alone. Inside, Sophia watched from the window as Victor said something to her son that made him laugh, actually laugh, in a way she hadn't seen in weeks. She didn't know exactly what had shifted between them that afternoon. But watching her son walk toward the house with his shoulders back instead of hunched, she decided, for now, not to ask.